Hey world, where's Kenny? We miss Kenny.
Where's, where's Kenny? Isn't he on
Where
yet?
is? Not yet. It takes 30 seconds on YouTube.
Oh,
Before,
shoot. Okay.
before we see if Kenny
And and Kenny. Okay. We welcome him with open arms.
Yes, Kenny, where are you? We beg you. We beg you. Um,
Please. All good.
so
All good.
so we're gonna have our end of the day talk, and we're gonna talk about life and being overwhelmed because I got
It's
to tell
hard
you,
for me. It's hard for me, Mike, to talk about this subject because I never get overwhelmed.
I don't know how you can
So
relate. I don't
it's
know how you can
really
relate
hard
to
to relate. And by that, I mean, I am the absolute be all end all queen. I am the reigning queen of the land of overwhelm. It takes a lot for me to become calm and centered and mindful, and I do with a little. You're like, no, you don't. With a little help. No, I live with attitude, and I eventually get to center, but I am wired to get very, very, very overwhelmed. Very, most of the time, very easily. It
well,
is not fun to be me.
there's Kenny. See, here's Kenny. He didn't let us down. His
Oh
ears,
no,
his
Kenny.
his ears were ringing. Probably loud.
Do you think Kenny gets overwhelmed? I feel like
Uh,
he's the type that doesn't. He's like running his lab and he's like doing research and he's like so not overwhelmed. He's like, I have 47 papers to do and just do this research right now. And I'm like, 24 hours a day.
well, for you, you have specific triggers, right? Like you're okay when you have a lot to do and it's in a specific order.
Yeah.
But when that order, like let's say the AC goes down in the middle of everything.
I could have, you're totally right. You know me well. When I could have 50 things on my to-do list and be fine, like 50 important things on my to-do list and be fine. But then when a monkey wrench is thrown in, it's got to be emotional agility, right? Like my emotional agility is something that I have to really practice to be resilience. I mean, I'm pretty resilient, but it's like initially that like is really hard for me.
I don't think it's emotional agility. I think what it is you're so structured, right? And you have a plan, right? You are OCD about your plans and being structured and organized that when that happens, yes, I guess the emotional agility is part of it, but then you're thinking about the 47 things you're not going to get done.
It's very frustrating to be this way because if it's someone else, I am calm, collected, cool. I can work through it with you. I can make a list for you. I can walk you through every single step. When it's myself, it's first of all, it's rooted in anxiety. So it's not just that I like and enjoy structure. It's that it's rooted in this shut up, this deep rooted anxiety that I have. It's a daily practice to overcome. So it's a real thing. I mean, it's funny that I like my stuff in order and structure because not everything in order, just my things to do have to be in order. But it's I am a good example of someone who has worked to not my anxiety is not gone about it. I have it, but I do have a lot of resilience around it. I think like I can bounce back pretty quickly.
But you've built and create ways that you know how to pull it back, right? And you've created this structure so that you have control over that side. Because I think that's part of it, right? Because you have the element of control of your schedule,
Mm-hmm.
element of control of the order of how you do things. And as long as you're completing those tasks and getting it done, it's how you've coped and created structure to be able to deal with your anxiety in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And then when something throws that off, it just triggers the anxiety, then goes into abyss of overwhelmed. And
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely. And it's an awful feeling. It really is. And
it is. It is. And but see, part of it is also because it throws you off at that moment. So whatever you're working on that list at that moment then also gets thrown off. And then it's like dominoes.
yeah, that's what happens. So how do I deal with that? So the only way to do it is just to practice like coming back to center and mindfulness and meditation to be able to react to things differently. But chemically, I get anxious, and so knowing the triggers, I think, is a good idea too. So like knowing and having that flexibility and adaptability that things aren't always going to go as planned, because how often do they really always go as planned?
And maybe instead of 50 things on a to-do list, you put 20. So there's
right.
gaps.
Well, I'm an overachiever, so I'm constantly doing a lot of different things at once. And I like that. And I've been saying lately, I have my hands dirty in a lot of things recently, like a lot of different projects and a lot of different things. They're all under my mission and my focus. And, it's not like I'm involved in like 30 different things that are they're all under the overarching mission of my life right now and my purpose-driven, life that I'm trying to lead. But the overwhelm of life is, when you're, better than anyone, when you're a single parent and, I'm moving, which is a big undertaking.
Yes.
I just started a huge new endeavor with something new. Those are two big things that someone might consider to be like, oh, that's one huge thing that I have, but I have two. I'm homeschooling. So there's virtual school with the kids at home, doing that at the same time. And, I'm getting a new car. So I have that on my things to do list. That's a lot of.
You have internet that screws with you constantly.
I have what?
Internet that messes with you constantly.
Oh, is it messing with you right now?
No, but just in general. Like when the kids are home and they're doing their schoolwork and you're doing calls and
yes. So there's that. That's like a given, Fortnite and iPad and phone, all that. I mean, but that's like everyday life. The big gigantic things are what has me, kind of in a ball right now that I have to center a lot more than I normally do. I have to come back to center because it's just, some people say like, what do they say? Death, moving, and divorce are like the three biggest changes in your life.
No, I think they're the three guarantees: death, taxes, and something.
No. There's another thing that people say. But the point is, like, these are major, major things in my life. And they're all naturally, as I am, a lot of them are happening at once. But they're also, to spin it, if you are living with Anitude, these are also really good things. This is a move that I'm really excited for. This is a new endeavor and huge project and job that I'm really, really excited for. These are all positive, really good, transformative, amazing changes in my life. They're just a lot at once for anyone, right? So I have to have self-compassion.
But I mean, look, here's the reality, right? Like, I'm proud of you, okay? Because yesterday, with everything that was going wrong yesterday, and yesterday was literally like you were just like a human punching bag, right? And then your phone, okay? And
like, my phone, all of it, so anyone is listening or is going to listen to this, my phone, after everything I just listed, my phone decided to not make or receive calls.
Yes. It was
that was just out of nowhere, just decided to do that. Because I didn't have, and the heating air conditioner, the HVAC broke.
Oh, that's right. At the same time. That's right. I forgot.
I was okay though. I was all right. Like, right? Your face.
I don't know. I didn't hear from you for a few hours. You had no phone.
You were like, I wouldn't go with okay.
No, you know what it was though? You still got the big things done on your list. You still looked what you needed to. Yes, you had your moments of yes. And it was one of those things where it's Murphy's Law, right? When one thing goes wrong, you're going to just keep getting hit with things until you just start getting done through it. And
you got to put your head down and just do. You just got to put your head down and do it. There was something, with me, like there's something very freeing about not being able to make or receive calls. I love that because I'm not like crazy about the phone. Like there was something freeing about that, but it was so frustrating at the same time that it was like bogging me down. And I was like, you know me, I'm like, what if I don't get my receive any calls for like a really long time? And then, you know, everything's forever in my mind. Like it's so ridiculous. Like basically it was a few hours, right? Like a few hours. But I
Was it
think
that long?
that everyone has this feeling
It was
once in a
longer
while.
than actually. It was longer than that. It was almost
Yeah.
7 hours.
Was there 7 counting? But like
Because we were jumping on a conference call when it started because you kept getting kicked off the call.
yeah, that was fun. It felt so professional when we were trying to have a meeting and that happened. But the
Retries.
point
Yeah.
is, like, everybody has this stuff that happens, and everybody has days where stuff is like just poured on, and you know, it's not just me. So I don't want to ever be like, oh, woe is me. You know, it's like it's just it happens to everybody. It's just how you deal with it, right? So I always like I beat myself up. So I think of how I can do things better. Like I'm always like, how could I have done that better? But you know, I guess my advice in a day when everything is going wrong is you have to come back to gratitude. You have to remember what is going right, because no matter what, there's always something or a few things that are going right. I mean, there just are. So even when it feels like really bad, I think you have to come back to like what's going right. So like you just said to me, you got a lot of stuff done. Like there was some time that I got like a lot of major things out of the way that felt really good, you know? But so I could be grateful for that, or I could just be like, oh, yesterday sucked. But you know, I'm not going to say that.
But see, here's the thing too, right? Like yesterday could have set up to be one of those days that you could have fallen back to old habits, right? And you could have crumbled, and you could have everything that you've been working towards, you could have just let it go, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't do that. You chose not to. Consciously made a choice not to. And
Yes, I did. And I woke
and
up today so happy that I made the choices that I did and didn't fall into like, let me fill this void in some way, or let
but that's
me.
but that's what I'm saying. That's huge growth. That's huge progress. I mean, that's not a baby step. That's like a giant leap. That's like landing on the moon the first time. If that was the
That's what I did last night. I
movement,
landed.
I mean,
Yeah.
but you did, and that's how you get over this shit. That's how you let those little things go. Because at the end of the day, you made the right choices and you did the best you could with every circumstance.
Thank
And
you.
you lived your best self. And that's all you can do.
So if anyone is sort of trying to understand, you know, it's like that's how you work through. That's the healthy way to work through versus the unhealthy way, which is not working through, it's trying to go around. Very different. So
Yes. I avoided many things for many years in many ways. There's a
yeah,
laundry list. I
it's
mean,
avoidance, it's not dealing with what's at hand, but going to other things, you know, trying to fill your void like with every bad habit that you've ever had, or making poor decisions.
but it could be
Um,
anything as stupid as watching a trilogy of movies on TV instead of getting something done that's productive. It could be anything. And
right,
avoidance, finding a way to ignore what you're going through. That's all it
right,
is.
right. No,
I mean,
you have to go through it and just like at the end of the day, like everything really did get solved. I mean,
yeah.
everything's okay. The HVAC guy came, you know, my phone's better. You know, I got like so many things in order and so much done. You know, I think that sometimes they roll into each other. The things that are happening, they roll like for me moving and the way that everything's a mess in the house is it makes me a little crazy. And like, there's just too much to do all in one day. And so I do a little here and there. And it sort of just it rolls over into other aspects of my life. So it feels chaotic, and I don't like chaos. I like balance, as you said. So I'm
Well,
trying to find that balance right now.
but you're a single mother, right? And you have your kids most a lot of the time, and you're homeschooling them, and you're working, and then you're working on your stuff, and you started a new thing, and you have things moving all over the place. The kids in sports, then I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and you're doing this by yourself,
Yeah. It's hard.
so
It's hard.
it's
I mean,
hard.
again, so many good things. I'm so truthfully so grateful that like my kids can play in sports again and are having the best time doing it. And that I get to move into this beautiful new house, and it's exactly where I want to be location wise, and like all of these, and this amazing opportunity work wise, that I've been waiting for, and that we've, aligned so clearly with my mission and everything I'm doing. It's like, that's all stuff I have to be grateful for. Like this initial, like frenetic sort of craziness is all going to go away. And then the rest of the stuff will remain. So, it's just getting there.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, it's easy to get sucked into the chaos, right? It's easy to let that chaos just destroy you. And me, it does it all the time, right? Like it used to do it all the time, right? And I'm getting better with that. And I'm also getting better at how I use words, acknowledging the fact that it's not anymore, right? So, but
you're actually really, really, really good at dealing with chaos, like beyond good. You are. I mean, and you've always been, since I've like the whole time I've watched and seen it. It's like, you're so calm with the kids. You're so like, I mean, I'm not saying you don't lose it sometimes. I'm not saying you don't, things don't get to you, but like, you're very, very calm. Like there's not a lot of people I know that could deal with everything on their plate the way you have, that would handle it with such grace. So I will say that when it comes, we're very similar in a lot of ways, but when it comes to that stuff, like you don't have that same overwhelm that I have. You get overwhelmed sometimes, but not in the same way.
When there's no chaos, I get overwhelmed. Yeah. when things are calm.
Why is everything calm? What's going on? But I mean, you don't get rattled easily, I would say.
No, it takes.
That's a really nice way to be. It must be nice.
It is. It isn't. It is, but it isn't, because I'm almost always expecting it, right? And sometimes I self-create it, and that's a problem also, right? So I'm trying to look for those triggers and those warning signs so that I don't do it as much. And I feel like I'm getting better with it.
So you don't expect it as much, you mean? Like you're saying, like the other shoe to drop, kind of, you're waiting for that?
No, so I don't self-create it. So I don't self-create chaotic circumstances or situations, because I'm just uncomfortable, right?
Uncomfortable with being, you mean? Uncomfortable sort of just
things being calm. I mean, you can put me in the middle of the most extreme circumstance, and I will be cool as a cucumber, make sure everybody's lives are saved, the whole world gets out of the situation, and I'm great. But
when you're little and there's a lot of chaos, and you're adopted, so you don't even know what went on at first when you were really tiny. So your neurosystem picked up that chaos, right away. Your life was chaotic. For the most part. I mean, your brain was definitely chaotic, I would say, and here was chaotic. So it's uncomfortable for you to be chaos free, or it used to be. It used to be. So, I mean, believe it or not, me too. That's why I like the order I like, because there was a lot of chaos in my brain, outside of my brain, in my developmental years. So the lack of chaos create exactly the same thing. Believe it or not, we align completely in that self-creation of chaos. Now that I'm in a healthier place, I like chaos a lot less. I like calm. I like balance. I like order more so than when I was coming into this time in my life. I would say, to put it calmly and kindly to myself.
But see, I guess this is the perfect time for me to make this transition, right? Because if I got freaked out with chaos, how would I handle what I'm going through now? Right?
You couldn't. That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. My point is that you handle it so gracefully.
Maybe that's exactly why the transition's happening. My transformation's happening now, because I needed to continue to be able to handle the chaos until this was over, whenever that might be.
Whoever they is, or they are, say that like you are only handed what you can handle. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but what's that?
I said, oh fuck. Well, oh boy, what's coming next?
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but they say that. So, I mean, I don't think that, I think there's a lot to be said for the chaos creation. I don't think you've been creating chaos. I think there is your life can be chaotic with the kids, and just life because it's life. But there's a lot of calm outside of you here where you're located. Everything is really calm. So that brings an element that you didn't used to have. That
True.
brings a calm to your life that you didn't used to have. So maybe you were the chaos and you were put into this sort of really flat, atmosphere, boring,
Mars.
Mars,
Literally.
boring, kind of in
Yeah.
the middle of nowhere. And we've always said that there's a reason for that. There's a reason that you're there of all places, and that this was the time you had to look inward and all those things.
And I agree, right? And I'm just, I guess, I don't think I'm working on creating as much chaos as I was. I think that there's been drastic improvements in that,
Mhm.
and I'm catching those triggers before it happens now.
Like realizing that you were about to kind of, oh, okay, now I'm not, okay.
Right. Like, I've talked many times about my word vomit, my emotional vomit, just spewing everywhere. Just, when I don't know how to handle something, my first reaction is just to spew emotions everywhere, and that will fix everything. It really doesn't fix anything.
You're pausing. You're pausing.
Yeah.
I mean, that pause that we talked about that, for so long I didn't do. And then that I sort of said to you, there's a pause between things happening and you feeling and then acting. So, when I was just on that, the Wisdom Coalition, or I just had them on, the two women, Nancy Wertine and Kim Howie from the Wisdom Coalition. They wrote a book called The Power of the Pause. And they talk a lot about mindset management. And what?
Nothing. I just think of
What?
Alec. I just think of Alec.
Oh, so they talk a lot about mindset tools and management, and
Oh yeah, it's over now.
I'm sorry. We have an inside joke. You can't talk about that.
I
Shh.
had that was
Listen to
awesome.
me. Listen to me. And so they wrote a book called The Power of the Pause. And you and I have talked about, stop. You and I have talked about this a lot. Sort of taking that pause between what we feel and then impulsively acting. I can't, I don't, this is not for public display.
No, I know. We're good. No, but their book seems really great. Their course seems amazing. And now you did it. And now you lost it. Really?
Call it. Just call it.
Call it? Really?
Yeah, call it. Peace.